The most important thing to remember when making an underpainting, I mean the one that I always use an underpainting for, is to establish my greater shapes and to establish my lights and darks. And when I establish my darks, I try not to use any blacks or anything like that. I just find them really boring and flat. So I generally use my base colors. Like I like to lock in the colors that are going to show through when I end up making really, really dark darks, like say my purples and blues. Those are some of my favorite colors to use for darks. Now the bridge here does have like a purpley tinge, but it's not so purple in the final thing. So I just like to add that base color that will show through and that I can work on. And for the reflections, there's a lot of details in the ripples and lights bouncing off the water, but I'm not really concerned about that. I'm just layering hard pastels as my base so that I can work on that later. And I'm not really focused on blending either. I don't think I've ever really sat and blended my pastels as much as I should, but I like the texture and the visual interest that it provides, so I don't really work on that. But there's a time for everything, and I'm just adding in the reflection of the foliage and the way that, there's a couple of ripples here and there just to remind me that, this is the water, but I will work on that when I get to the top layers of the pastel painting. And I'm just working on the overall picture so that when I layer pastel on top of this, I know that I can get detailed because the base, the actual shapes of everything has already been defined. And even for my outlines, I don't really give myself a very intensely pre-planned drawing to work off of. I don't do that very much, although there is a lot of merit to that. As you can see, I'm adding in a couple of ripples, and I'm just adding in some darks and establishing the foliage as well in the background. And I don't see a need to use a million different pastels in the beginning. I just like to stick with a few colors, and I like to add colors on top of that. But in my base layer, I like to keep it simple and just establish whatever that will help me later. There you can see I'm just going in with the same colors that kind of repeat throughout the painting. It creates a very cohesive whole, and I really like that type of look. And there you have it. I'm almost done with the base painting, and hopefully you'll join me for the next round.